guys, and welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, one of his advocacy helping creators show up without burnout, performance, or hype. No other than Mr. Steven Booth.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Mr. Steven. We are fabulous, fabulous, and thank you so much for being part on Abstract Essay again. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, yes, yes. So today let's talk about something good today. Something good. And why creators fear of being seen and how to move through it.
Mhm. Okay. Um, where do you want me to start?
So let's start naming it. Beyond the general nerves, what does the specific fear of being seen actually feel like for a creator? Is it fear of judgment, being fraud, or being too much or not enough?
Um, I look at it as the fear of looking foolish. That's the term that I use when I discuss this subject. But it even goes beyond that. It's a fear of being erased. It's it's like you rip your heart out, you hand it to the public, and they don't say that's awful. They don't say, we hate it. That rarely happens. There occasionally you'll get a troll or something like that that'll do that sort of thing. But what they say is, oh, that's nice, or even worse, why bother? Or the worst yet, ignore you entirely, make you um, irrelevant to them. That's what creators fear the most when it comes to uh, the fear of looking foolish.
The fear of being foolish, yes, most of the people feel like that. So, what's the difference between healthy creative doubt and the paralyzing fear that stops creator from sharing their work entirely?
Well, healthy creative doubt is a good place to start. I mean, yes, you want to make sure that you're not just indulging yourself. There's a lot to be said for self introspection, but when you know that what you have is good, when it resonates with you, then uh, it makes sense that it will probably resonate with somebody else. You're not isolated. You're not an island. And if something appeals to you, it'll probably appeal to somebody else, even if it's something that you've created yourself. And so, therefore, when um, I beg your pardon, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Uh, there's a lot to be said for putting yourself out there and giving your art a chance to be seen, be found. I don't know if your listeners can see behind me, but there's a lot of art going on behind me, mostly airplanes at this moment. That's art that I've painted myself. I've been painting for 10 years. Actually, November 28th of this year was 10 years exactly. And I have just started putting my work out there because I finally gotten to the point where I'm sure that it would resonate with somebody who is interested in this kind of art. And there, the biggest challenge is, of course, um, putting yourself out there and having zero response, just dead air. Dead air is the worst. And beyond that, I can see where I mean, I understand the phenomenon of somebody saying you're not good enough, but that doesn't happen very often. Actually, it happens very, very rarely indeed. Uh, they um, they generally just ignore you.
Yes, indeed, that's one of the fear to be ignored. What does the fear often originate? Is it more linked to past personal experience or experiences or to the current hyper exposed of culture of the internet?
My my approach to this, my view of it is it's past personal experience, usually dealing with somebody who lacks empathy, whether that's a parent or a relative, or somebody it's in your young life at school who is, um, looking for opportunities to manipulate other people through attacking their fears and their self esteem issues, especially when you're young. Everybody wants to fit in. Everybody wants to be feel seen. Everybody wants to be part of the crowd. And if you're ostracized, or if you're, if people start treating you like you're outside of the crowd, then it does become very stressful, and then that same kind of experience translates over to uh, to your current life when you're trying to be in front of others who you don't necessarily trust. I'm sorry, my cat's in the way. um, but that's what I would say is, with the origins of it is past personal experience, especially from a young life. That lose you.
Mr. Steven, a common paradox is wanting an audience but fearing its gaze. How does the conflict create a self sabotage loop where creators undermine their own launch plans or marketing?
Oh, the self consciousness is the biggest problem that most people have. Where okay, I did an interview with a creator. It was yesterday, the day before. It's December 12th. Okay, so that would have been yesterday. And we did the interview on video, and all she could see when she was reviewing the video is that she had a little mark on her lip. No one else was paying attention to the mark on her lip. No one. And if they were, they're not the kind of person that she wanted to be connected with anyways. But she was hyper focused on her flaws. It's that self-criticism, it's that voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough. And that voice is actually the subconscious repeating old messages that other people have told you, or you've told yourself so often that it becomes natural. It's what they call automatic negative thoughts. And it's possible to overcome those with not necessarily affirmations, which a lot of people like to use affirmations. I find them to be particularly silly. I'm a driver, I'm a winner, everything's going to be great. No, and the affirmation that I'm talking about is the kind, or what I call intentions, where it's like, when I'm in a stressful situation, then I take a breath and reevaluate. That's what an intention or an affirmation would look like, as far as reprogramming uh, that kind of automatic negative thought.
So, Mr. Steven,
Mhm.
what are the most common and damaging things the internet critic says to a creator about being seen? How can we begin to argue back with compassion?
Well, I'm a big believer in what I call fierce kindness. Fierce kindness starts with boundaries. Boundaries create safety for both you and the other person, unless you're dealing with somebody who's particularly not very nice, who lacks empathy and who feels that a boundary is a threat. But for most people, having boundaries and being able to say, if you don't like my work, that doesn't affect my self-esteem. That kind of a boundary, being able to say nothing is urgent. The fact that you want me to, rush for you in order to create the thing that you're looking for doesn't affect me. And that fierce kindness is something that starts with yourself and radiates outward towards everybody else. But as far as how, a critic could be cruel and tell somebody that they are not worthy of the attention that they're striving for, um, you have to consider the source. I mean, that's what my mother would say is you have to look at other people's agendas to see why they would be saying something like that. And so, if you're just being self-indulgent and creating work, whether that's writing or it's music or it's art that is indeed substandard, that's something that you need to be considering inside of yourself. Okay. And it means you need to grow as an artist or as a creator. But when if somebody's just telling you that your work is substandard in order to take you down a couple of pegs, that's where you have to have boundaries. That's where you have to have fierce kindness.
Yes, definitely. And how do you help creator separate their worth from their metrics? A quiet launch does not feel like a personal failure, isn't it?
Well, I can speak to a quiet launch myself. I on the screen there's my unboxing of my new book. I've sold very few copies, not because the quality of my work isn't high and worthwhile and something that people want to read. That's a marketing issue. I mean, we just had a conversation, you and I, about marketing not long ago. And it's not a matter of criticism, it's a matter of obscurity. That transition from obscurity to having an audience is what marketing is. That's the phenomenon of making that transition. So I have an audience of 80 authors right now who I'm connected with on Substack, along with some other people who are following along with what I'm doing on Genius Publishing Studio. And I know the quality of my work is very high. I've gotten a lot of feedback from them, but if the metric is sales, so far I haven't had a lot of success. If the metric is how many people am I touching, how many people am I communicating with, how many people am I helping with their own fears, with their own marketing, then my metrics are very successful. So the reason I wrote The Art of Being Found, which is about exactly this phenomenon that we're talking about right now, was because I needed it for myself. I needed to understand why I was reluctant to go and put myself in front of an audience and make myself vulnerable and give other people a chance to dismiss me, really. And so I'm learning to overcome my own fear of looking foolish, and I'm putting myself out there. Here I am on a podcast, the number 2 podcast in the country or whatever it is, and taking the opportunity to talk to you. And yes, I could wind up looking foolish. My cat walked in front of the camera, that kind of thing. But I'm not going to worry about that. That's for other people to decide, not for me. Inside me, inside my boundaries, I'm doing just fine.
Yes. People don't care what people say about you because if you will care, you will lose a lot. How does cultivating a private creative practice work made just for you, fortifying a creator against the pressure of public performance?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, it's sort of like putting your my if I put my paintings up on display before they were completed, I would be inviting a lot of criticism, and I wouldn't want to do that to myself or to anybody else. On the other hand, a lot of people will put their humanness on display um, in front of an audience, and that is actually a way of connecting. You know, no one here is supposed to be an expert. I don't try to be an expert on anything. I mean, the only thing I'm an expert on is document formatting, and nobody wants to hear about that. So, um, you know, putting myself out here and talking about what makes me vulnerable and talking about how I can, how I can improve myself, that makes a difference to other people. They can see me and they can take my the model that I'm putting forth and use it in their own lives. But I wouldn't take a chapter of something that I've written and post it up unedited, unproofread, just raw, in order to impress people. That wouldn't work for them, and it wouldn't work for me. I might put up a note on Substack or something like that that is just my own personal thoughts. But as far as something that I consider my own creative works, I wouldn't. I would keep that private, at least until it's been viewed by somebody outside my head and given a once over for quality. My wife is an editor. She's the editor for all my books and for our publishing company. And we are big believers in having somebody outside your head, review the quality of whatever it is that you're doing, because inside your head, everything looks great. And so I just, that's, that would be the advice that I would give somebody is, if you're trying to be a human, go ahead and post whatever you want. If you're trying to be a creator or an artist, at least let somebody outside your head review it for quality, so that you can have a sense of what it really looks like to other people.
Okay, Mr. Steven, to wrap up our discussion for today, for creator has moved through a major block, what does it feel like on the other side? What does their relationship with their work and their audience fundamentally change?
When they get through a blockage, oh
Yes,
my,
please.
hold on a second, let me get rid of this cat. When a creator gets through a blockage, there's a sense of euphoria, as far as a sense of relief. Like, I found myself again. I was lost and I found myself again. And it gives them renewed encouragement, self-encouragement. I don't know if there's a word for that, but your self-worth improves tremendously when you've gotten through a blockage. And personally, I don't believe in writer's block, for example. I believe that in depression, that's the phenomenon that I believe writer's block actually is. And so, but once you've moved through that, that's when that's when the really good feelings start happening.
Yes, indeed. And Mr. Stephen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever project that you're doing right now?
Okay, well, if somebody wants to find me on Substack, they should look for Genius Publishing Studio or geniuspublishingstudio.substack.com. They can look for geniusbookpublishing.com, which is where my books are. They can look for my new book, The Art of Being Found, on Amazon and at geniusselfdiscovery.com. That's where you can find me.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Stephen Booth, because if you support him, for sure more and more empowering books will be published. So, Mr. Stephen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. This was fun.
Monica people, see you soon.